choice will depend on where do you want to spend, to invest. If you want to put your money in the bank, you will invest in country which has a higher interest rate that pays you a higher return in the form of interest, because depositing your money in the bank is also one of the investments. If your investment goal is to invest in any other businesses rather than putting your money in the form of deposits, it's better for you to invest your money in a country which has a lower interest rate, because if it has a lower interest rate, you can borrow your money, more money, and invest. You can borrow more money from the bank that is found in a country which pays a lower interest to make additional investments other than depositing your money. So that we have now known how inflation and unemployment might be created, and we know the relation with the money supply and money demand. So that it's better now to look at the government policy, because the government has two types of policies that controls inflation and unemployment, indirectly by controlling the money supply in the market. These two policies are called a monetary policy and physical policies. If we know this general truth, if we understand this general truth, when the money supply in the market increases, the demand for goods and services will increase. This impact makes the price to go up, and the more the price of goods and services grow, the inflation rate, or the rate at which the price of goods and services increase, will also elevate. That's how inflation occurs, due to higher money supply in the market. So there should be a way for a government to control this money supply in the market using a fiscal policy. How a fiscal policy works is, it is directly applied by the government rather than by the national bank. A national bank is an agent of the government. However, a national bank applies a monetary policy rather than fiscal policy, and the fiscal policy is applied by the government rather than by the agent of the government, which is the national bank. But why do we concern about these two, employment and inflation rates? Because these two are the main determinants that can show how the company grows and the standard of people is good. Because as an individual in that country, the creation of job opportunity might affect your people's income, because if there are a lots of job opportunities in that country, the average income per one person will be higher, because they get the money from their job, from what they are doing. So most of the people in that country will have a higher income per one person if there are too many job opportunities. However, even if they get that income, even if the income per one person is high, if the purchasing power of that income or that money is low, still we cannot say there is a growth in the country, because the money they get from their job will not buy anything. That's why we say controlling employment and inflation is controlling a country's growth or a standard living of individuals. We have seen that when the supply increases, the inflation will increase. However, a government has a fiscal policy to control this money supply in the market. One is by creating budget surplus. Surplus means a revenue in excess of expenditure. A government has a revenue and expenditure. The main revenue for the government is tax. When the government finds out the money supply in the market is high, he might plan to collect this money and reduce this money in the form of tax from the market. However, if the government took this money from the market and expend it back to the market in the form of expenditure, it will have the same effect. However, creating a budget surplus, or collecting more money or revenue and expending less, might decrease the total money supply in the market, or the total money supply that is in the hands of individuals. As we have seen, when the money supply decreases, the inflation will decrease. So increasing the tax rate is one of the government fiscal policy. Even if this had a positive impact on the inflation reduction, however, it has a negative impact in the job opportunities that are created in the country. Because when individuals are taxed a higher amount, companies are expected to pay most of their profits to the government rather than using it for their own. So if the companies are not taking their profit to themselves, they do not think about hiring employees and creating many different investments, job opportunities for others. Even they might leave the industry as a whole if they do not become encouraged by earning a proper amount of profits they deserve for themselves. So this will decrease the inflation rate, consequently decreases the employment.